Hey there, welcome, come on in. If you're like most business women, you probably are trading your time for your income. And so, in order to care for your family, earn a living, enjoy vacations, you have to hustle. But what if there was a better way to leverage your talents to earn money passively while still delivering enormous value to your clients or customers and having an even greater impact on the world than you are now? Well, guess what? There is. And if you stick with me to the end of this training, I'm going to show you an asset class that you can buy or build that will pay you passively every single month. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah Nicole Nadler. I'm a money coach for entrepreneurs and businesswomen, and I help you become a confident investor. I used to hustle every single day of the week, guys. I owned a wedding business. And so all week long, I fielded questions from brides and planned and planned and planned. And then on the weekends, I would work 15 hours per day if there was a wedding, setting up the wedding, hosting the wedding, breaking down the wedding with my assistant. And to be honest, being a business owner meant long hours and frustratingly little time with my husband, Ben. So that's when I figured out this little known and hardly ever talked about asset class that you can buy or build that will earn you passive income instead of having to trade your time for money. So today, that's what we're going to be talking about on the show. If you would like the workshop, I'll tell you that again. If you would like the workbook that goes with this training, go ahead and over to my website at sarahnicoleadler.com/investher giveaway. This workbook will teach you how to reduce your investment risk and gain confidence as an investor. So make sure you download it. It's absolutely free. All right. Now, when I said I was going to teach you an asset class that any businesswoman can use to earn passive income, I was talking about your intellectual property. Okay. IP or intellectual property is defined as a work or invention that is the result of your creativity, right? Such as a book, a manuscript, a design, something you created, right? There's a list on my website of 30 different examples, and I'm going to share some examples with you guys today, but it has to be a work that you created that came out of your genius, right? That you have the full rights to, or one that you could apply for a patent, a copyright, or a trademark on. That is what intellectual property is. So I'm going to show you in this training how we use this asset class of intellectual property to earn passive income. All right. So here's one example. Back when I owned my wedding business, I got smart after a while and realized that instead of delivering one-on-one done for you wedding planning or coordination services for couples, what if I just got all the couples in a big room and delivered a workshop that taught them how to plan their own wedding? Instead of making maybe, $1,500 in a single day of working 15-hour days with an assistant, right? I could charge maybe $100 or $200 per ticket and get all the couples in the room at the same time, deliver a 4-hour workshop. So I'm not stressing out and working from noon to midnight and beyond, right? And instead leverage my time better. So I packaged up my genius, this 10 years of wedding experience, and turned it into what was known as the Portland Bride School Workshop. Ran that a few times. And then, then this is where I got smart. I took that packaged up idea and I was able to license it out or sell the idea to other wedding professionals. They would use my brand of the Portland Bride School Workshop to deliver their own workshops to couples. All right. Now I'm no longer having to trade the time for money, but it was my genius. It was my idea, right? That is an example of leveraging your intellectual property to earn money passively. Now, I've said it many times before here on the show and on my podcast and on my blog and on my website and everywhere else, right? I've mentioned this so many times, but I'm going to say it again. It takes time or money or both to set up, buy, or build the passive income asset. Once you've built it, it's passive, but it's not passive to set up, right? This is not a get rich quick scheme, all right? So you guys really have to realize, like, I'm not talking to the people. If you're on this live going, wow, this is a great way for me to just quickly earn millions in passive income without ever having to lift a finger. Just get off my show. Okay. I'm not interested in talking to you. You're in the wrong place. Someone out there is going to try to sell you something like that. It's never going to be me. All right. This will take work to set it up, but you can buy it or you can build it. Okay. You can spend your time or you can spend your money. Either way, you have to acquire a valuable asset that we can then use to trade time or to stop trading time for money to earn passive income. Right. So most people, when they do end up buying or building intellectual property, they then leverage their intellectual property by trading more time for money. Okay. So that's not what we're going to do, right? This is not what I'm teaching. This is not like create an online course and then hustle on social media for the rest of your life to try to sell it, right? Like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about genuinely using IP as a passive income stream. Okay. So I'm going to show you today how to do this differently than what you've probably seen online before. Instead of leveraging their IP, right, they're trading tons of time for money. So if you're hustling on social media or you're creating content like videos like this one, right, blogs, podcast interviews, etc., to try to sell your own IP, you're doing it wrong. Okay. So that's what today is all about, is how to leverage this to make it passive. And this is something we talk about a lot inside the passive income pathway because it takes a bit of a mindset shift. At first, most people, having been indoctrinated by the wealthy to trade time for money, your instinct will be to go out and try to sell it yourself. Okay. Don't do that. So let me show you what we're going to do instead. But before I teach you how to do it, I want to make sure it's really clear to you the level of possibility. Okay. So here are just a few examples of intellectual property. Patented inventions. So if you've ever invented a better mousetrap, right? If you have a cool idea of how Ford cars, right, could be improved if they just did a doohickey. If you have an idea for an invention, or you've actually invented something yourself, whether it's a new product, a new process, a better way to apply a certain technology, that is your intellectual property. Okay. Trademarks. Your logo for your existing successful business is your intellectual property. Your name, if you are an artist or an author like me, right? Your pen name or your name is your intellectual property. Any symbols that you use to represent or identify your products or services as a successful businesswoman are your intellectual property. Okay. Right now, you're probably trading time for money to earn income off of those things. I'm going to show you how to flip the script. Excuse me. One moment. Thank you. All right. I'm going to show you how to flip the script and use that or leverage that intellectual property to earn passive income instead. One more example, original written works. That could be your books, right? Your music, art, any software you've ever written. That is your copyrighted content. That is your intellectual property. So just as an example, guys, okay, Michael Jordan made $250 million last year alone licensing his name to Nike. Okay. Did Michael Jordan go into the Nike warehouse and start packaging up his own shoes? Heck no. Did he go into a manufacturing plant and like personally stitch all those shoes together? No, right? Did he even invent the shoe? No, right? He just has his name. He has his name copyrighted, Michael Jordan, right? And he allows Nike to use that name and any symbols related to him, right? He licenses to them his name and they use it to earn money, and he earns money passively off of the licensing of his name. All right. Same with J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling made approximately $50 million last year licensing the various copyrighted words and names around the Harry Potter universe to other brands that created wands and t-shirts and kids' costumes and all kinds of stuff. Every single time something sells with the name Harry Potter or Dumbledore or Hermione Granger, or any of these other copyrighted names that are from her intellectual property, which the universe that she created, any of those things, platform 9 3/4, like all of this stuff. If you use her copyrighted materials, you are paying her royalties, and that is passive income that she can make off of something besides just the book itself. Okay. So, how much did Jordan actually make on basketball? Like when he's trading time for money, when he's playing basketball, how much money does he make? Not even a fraction of what he makes on his IP. Okay. How much did J.K. Rowling make when she was typing or writing Harry Potter on a napkin in some British pub, right? When she was trading her time for money and writing the book, not even a minuscule of a fraction of what she makes off of her IP, okay? Licensing out your intellectual property is much more profitable and more impactful in a lot of ways than anything you could do when you're trading time for money, because when you're trading time for money, you are trading a finite asset. We all have the same 24 hours, right? You have a finite asset when you're trading time for money. You do not have a finite asset when you are trading your intellectual property. Now, I'm going to pause here for a second because someone had a great question. Looks like you've got some internet is spotty on your end. That's totally okay. This is being recorded on my Facebook page, two of my Facebook groups, and it will also be going on my website, and it will also be going on my YouTube channel. So you will have the opportunity to watch the replay, okay? Don't worry about it. All right, so let's come back to our examples here, okay? I want to make sure you guys really get this. This is how you're going to leverage the intellectual property you've already created, or any crazy wild ideas that you've always had but never really developed, how you can leverage those to earn passive income. I'm going to show you step by step how to do it. But first, I wanted to just make sure you guys get this. So comment in the chat. Let me know, are you getting this? Do you have any questions about whether or not your idea or your business can be converted into intellectual property that you license or sell passively? So if you're asking yourself, like, how does this apply to me? Comment in the chat and I will absolutely answer your question, okay? I have a complete list of 30 different asset types that are considered intellectual property, 30 different examples of intellectual property that you can use as a successful businesswoman. You can find that list on my website. It's at sarahnicolenadler.com/passive IP. Check it out, okay? All right, we're moving on. I'm keeping an eye on that chat in case you guys have questions, okay? So let me show you the 3-step process you need to leverage your intellectual property as a businesswoman, okay? Not trading time for money, but genuinely leveraging this as a passive income stream. Step number 1 is you have to create amazing value, all right, guys? It's really hard to sell or lease out your IP if it sucks. Let's just get real, okay? I'm like, put your hair down, right? Like, this is so important that we actually make sure before we start trying to do the strategy that we have a better mousetrap, that we have a good passive income asset that we're working with. How much money do you think Michael Jordan would have made leasing out his name if he sucked at basketball? If he never won a game? No one's going to want to create shoes and t-shirts and stuff out of him, right? Same with J.K. Rowling. Like, if her book, Harry Potter, had sucked, there's no way she would have made money on it, right? So you can push and push and push and push to try to leverage this asset. But if the asset itself is low quality, right, it's not going to work. So that's why I'm saying this training is for successful businesswomen, successful artists, successful authors. If you're successful, that I define that as you're actively earning a living off of your work, okay? Because if you're already earning a living off of your work, the chances are your work is pretty great, okay? So I'm making that assumption here, but I hope it's true, right? So Mahomes, Travis Kelce, all of these guys, they're able to leverage their name to earn passive income only because they first became amazing athletes, right? Now, it's also really hard to use this strategy if you're super vague about the way you position your offer. It's coming back again to my J.K. Rowling example. What if book 1 of Harry Potter had been what we think of as Harry Potter, and it's a great book, but then she wrote book 2 in the series and turned it into like a spicy fantasy romance for adults? like you probably would have been like, stop, and like not allowed your children to keep reading the series, right? Because you would have been like, what just happened? She's hitting two different target audiences at the same time. That's a bad thing in any type of business, right? So what if book 3 in the Harry Potter series had actually been in disguise just a textbook on astrophysics, right? Like, again, like now we have a totally different target audience, and maybe it's a great textbook, but if it said Harry Potter number 3, you'd be super stinking confused, right? So it's very important when we go to start creating this asset class and we start buying or building a widget, a thing that we're going to sell, an IP, right? Intellectual property that we're going to sell or license out. It's very important that that thing that we're building solves one specific problem for one specific, super specific type of person. This is called niching down, right? So you want to build a brand that is super niched down so that we aren't confusing our audience every time we release a new product. Okay. Now I've totally been guilty of this, right? I write young adult fantasy novels, and I run a 6-figure money coaching brand, and I have a nonprofit that spans 13 countries where we help get young girls and protect them from human trafficking by educating them on their human rights, right? So like, I get it. It's okay to be multi-passionate, but I want to point out one thing. The one thing I have done well is that my fantasy is all under a pen name. If you look it up under Sarah Nicole Nettle, you're not going to find my fantasy romance novels. Okay. It's a totally different brand under a different name. If you look up Sarah Nicole Nettle, you'll find mostly content around my finance brand, Fierce Feminine Finance, right? Super specific, one problem for one target audience. If you're looking for me in the human rights world, again, I go by a different name, not because I'm trying to hide what I'm doing. I'm actually very proud of what we're doing around the world, but because I don't want to confuse my audience. So don't confuse your audience kind of falls under, it's like 1A, right? And 1B. 1A is don't suck, right? Create amazing value. But 1B is make your amazing value not confusing. It has to be super clear what you do, right? If Travis Kelce did 5 different sports and was just kind of like mediocre at all of them, we wouldn't love him nearly as much as the fact that he is an amazing tight end for the Chiefs, right? Like we know him for football, we know him as who he is. And so because of that, he can leverage his brand to make tons of money doing all of these brand deals that he himself does not have to trade time for money. He doesn't have to risk his body, right? Playing football. And so someday when he retires, he'll still probably be earning lots of money on all these licensing of like the jerseys and the this and the that he's making, right? So that's step 1 is create something of amazing value and make sure it doesn't violate rule number 1 or rule number 2. Okay. Now, step 2. This is where 99% of people miss the boat. All right. They miss the boat. They miss the opportunity to leverage their IP because they're lazy or unwilling to do the work and not willing to actually build it up. Okay. To make your IP a passive income stream and escape hustle culture, you have to automate the sales process. Okay. Now, this is going to take lots of different forms depending on what type of IP we're talking about. Coming back to our sports athletes, right? Like, if every time Nike wanted to sell a new, shoe, Michael Jordan had to come in and consult on the shoe and like make all these like minutia of decisions. And then he had to like show up every single time and like take a physical check to the bank every time he wanted to get paid. It just wouldn't happen, right? No. Instead, he's leveraged his team. He's built a team up who does those brand deals for him, right? He might need to sign off on it, but that's about it. And then once it's in place, that joint venture is in place, he has automation, right? He probably gives them his bank account information or something so that they can wire the money to him without him having to show up every week and get a paycheck, right? So automating that sales process, whatever that sales process looks like. If you're selling an online course, automate that thing, right? If you're creating a book, create a book funnel. Don't just try to like show up to all these different, trade shows and like sell your book manually, right? No, automate that sales process because that is going to make already make it much more passive. Okay. So just to give you an example of how I do this, okay, and how it does not have to be overly complicated, here's a free example. Okay. I use a free software called Stripe to accept payments, and it's 100% automated. Okay. Someone gets my link through a paid ad or however they land on that link, they pay, and then Stripe automatically puts it in my account, right? So when I'm talking to an artist who wants to license my creative works, like let's say as a fantasy author, right? I have someone who's like, I really want to create a t-shirt based off your universe. Okay, great. I make sure that that artist has a Stripe account. Why? Because Stripe has the ability to pay affiliates. So what happens is I have them do all the work of selling their t-shirt. They design their t-shirt, they sell it themselves on Etsy or Amazon or wherever. I don't lift a finger. All I'm doing is I'm licensing them permission to use my creative work, which is the universe, the fantasy universe I've created, right? So I'm giving them permission to use that. There's a contract that gets signed, etc. And then I just link my Stripe account to theirs. And from there on, I'm hands off. I'm not selling their shirts. I'm not showing them off. You don't ever see me wearing Tildor shirts, right? Instead, I'm just going about my day, doing my thing, and boom, 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 money is hitting my bank account every time they sell a shirt, okay? So building that automation, Stripe is a free software. It's not hard to do, and it makes it possible to turn your IP into a passive income stream. For anybody who's just jumping on, IP stands for intellectual property. Okay, we're talking about how to use intellectual property to leverage passive income. So, where was I? You could also use a sales funnel like Lead Pages, Go High Level, ClickFunnels, or affiliate marketing software to accomplish the same thing, okay? Whatever method you use, just make sure that your sales process and your payment process is totally automated and that a legal contract is in place to protect your income, all right? Step 3. Here's where we're going to do this very differently than an online business owner or a content creator or doctor's office or whatever, right? Offline business. They create intellectual property and then they trade time for money in order to earn from it, right? Instead of hustling on social media, creating tons of content, running paid advertising, or driving traffic into a funnel or something like that, you are going to create a passive income stream by leveraging the OPA strategy. OPA stands for other people's audiences. Okay. So here's the steps of how to do this. 1, you're going to make a list of all the content creators, small business owners, and brands who solve a similar but not competitive problem for the same people. So, for example, coming back to mine, right? Actually, I have a lot of examples of this, but number 1, okay, as a fantasy author, I serve a particular target audience, right? Mostly women of around ages 20 to 45 or 50 who love fantasy and like light romance, okay? That audience is also served by a lot of other brands. So, for example, t-shirts, right? They like cool t-shirts. They also probably buy purses all the time. They also probably buy lip gloss and maybe some makeup and things like that. Like there's specific types of products that my audience also buys. Okay. So by making a little list of all the other types of products and services that my audience also buys, I now have a list of people I could potentially do a joint venture with. Okay. So as an author, I'm going to reach out to those creatives. Oh, you just created a lip balm? Cool. Would you like to put my fantasy logo on your lip balm and sell it to my readers? Okay. People who've already read my book, of which there are thousands, right? That creates an additional audience for them. But I'm not going to sell it to them. I'm going to give you permission to sell it to them, right? So that's an example. It's like go find people or products or services that are already serving your same audience with a different product, a different offer. I don't make lip balm, right? I don't make t-shirts. I can't draw to save my life, right? So coming back to my finance brand, completely different brand, here's another example, right? If you are a business attorney, if you're a real estate agent, if you are I don't know, I can think of like, business coaches, all kinds of people, right? You're serving my same audience of business women who want to earn more money. You're serving that same audience, right? If my audience is like, I want to buy real estate as an asset that's going to earn me passively, they're going to a real estate agent. So I could go to a real estate agent too and say, hey, look, you could entice people to come see you by selling my or giving away, right, one of my courses or trainings for free. So look, I will license it to you. Every time you use it, I get paid, right? But you can give it away as a bonus or something in something you're already selling. Now they are incentivized to give away my product or give away my thing or whatever, right? As part of their package. Their audience is finding out about me for the first time, maybe, right? So it gives me exposure. And because I'm licensing this 90-minute training or whatever it is I'm giving them, right? Because I'm licensing it to them, every time they get a sale, I get a percentage of that sale. Okay. So if they add it as a bonus to their course, I get a percentage. If they add it as a bonus to some like gift basket that they're giving away or selling or whatever, I get a percentage, right? These are the types of negotiations you're going to be doing. But the first step is to make that list of other experts who are serving your audience with a different product or service, but something that's aligned with your brand. Okay. So that was step one of step three. I'm making this confusing. That was the first thing you have to do to accomplish step three of finding the right people to partner with is making that list. The next thing to find the right people to partner with is reach out and offer that partnership or collaboration opportunity. This is very easy to do. I do it all the time, right? I'm on social media and I see someone like, wow, I really love her content. She's reaching my audience, right? There's people in her audience who've never heard of me. So I'm going to have that exposure aspect, right? I'm going to offer her a collaboration. So I just email the person, DM them on Facebook. Like it's not hard to get in front of these people. Okay. I say, hey, you've got a 7-figure brand that sells hats to business women, right? Like inspirational t-shirts or whatever, right? And I go, hey, love what you're doing, love your content. I'd love to collaborate with you. And I use that word collaborate, or I'd love to partner with you on something, right? Usually they reach back and they're like at least curious, right? They, yeah, what do you got? And this is where your negotiation skills come in, okay? So you have to negotiate a contract and make sure this is a written contract. I have to say, do not go into this with a verbal contract, okay? Create a written contract between the two of you that gives them the right to lease the rights to your IP, right? So they can use it to serve their audience and bring additional income for them or additional exposure or increase the value of their product or service so that people want to buy it more. Like there's so many different ways. The key to this step of negotiation is to make sure it's a win-win for both parties. So they're going to win in some way because they're getting to leverage your expertise, give their audience something that they don't normally give them or whatever. I'm going to win because I'm going to earn passive income off this. And usually we want their audience to win in some way as well. So either I'm giving something away to their audience or their audience is just missing that piece, right? Like maybe this person, this expert I'm partnering with is an expert on, I don't know, business credit, right? How to find funding. Well, my offer is going to help them now that they have a bunch of funding, how to earn more money passively, not use their business funding that they just got to earn money by trading time for money, right? Like, great, I'm going to teach them something that you can't teach them, in other words, okay? So you want it to be a win-win deal for everybody, and that's how you negotiate that deal. This joint venture is now going to make everybody happy. And then the last step of step three is make sure you're charging either a percentage of sales or percentage of the profit from the use of your IP. So you've obviously proven to this person, this other brand, this expert, that using your IP is going to be valuable for them and valuable to their audience. Now that you've proven that in your negotiation stage, now you're going to say, hey, look, I just want a percentage, like 2%, 5%, whatever, of your profit from using mine. okay, using my course or my book or my idea or whatever it is, okay? You put that in writing, have a lawyer who knows what they're talking about, who's familiar with IP, look over that contract, make sure you didn't leave anything out. Now you have a beautiful relationship that's going to earn you passive income and offer great value to others. And because you're leveraging other people's audiences, your own impact in the world is going to expand and expand and expand. Okay. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. I do want to just put a plug in there. We have a great relationship with a business attorney inside the Passive Income Pathway. Her name is Destiny Bounds. She specializes in intellectual property. I'm going to put her little link up here on the screen. It's bit.ly/Destiny Bounds. It is capital specifics. You got to go do capital D, capital B. Okay, very important if you want to reach her. But she is fantastic, and she actually recorded 7 lessons inside the Passive Income Pathway program. So if you do end up wanting to work with me at some point, you'll get access to her content and learn all about how to legally protect your passive income strategies and legally protect your IP. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for jumping on with me today. If you did not already, download the guide that will help you learn how to protect your assets once you've built them. This is sarahnicolenatter.com/investher giveaway. It's absolutely free guide. It's going to help you build up your confidence as an investor. And like I said, make sure you're doing your investments a little bit more risk free. Okay. So if you're interested in learning more about the passive income pathway, you can find out more information at sarahnicolenatter.com/passive. Thank you so much again for coming on live with me today. And I look forward to serving you next week. Have a great day, guys.